I am going to do another video about what's going on with the California fires and something to do with terrorism. And the reason why I'm choosing to do this was, first off, I got a text from somebody I know, a subscriber, and this is always a great topic to get rid of total kooks off the channel. And I say that in all sincerity and reality. There are people that believe that the government is doing everything against them, when in all reality, the government's half of our problem. The other half is what we do with our own lives, right? The government is a machine that just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and I don't like it at all. Don't get me wrong, but I've worked for the government for a long time. I've been a paid professional firefighter, and I have a lot of experience fighting fires in cities where cities are on fire. Okay, not only hands-on physical firefighting, but also working on management teams. I've got a lot of fire instructional background and fire science background. So I'm going to speak to a couple of these conspiracy theories, and it'll get rid of the kooks. They get angry. The last video I did, I talked about the power getting cut off and why those hydrants were dead. Some people just lose their ever-loving minds and tell me, no, it's lasers from space. Just, I've actually personally held a laser and started a fire with it. Okay, they're real. I've actually seen strong enough lasers to do that kind of stuff. That's not what's going on here. But there is terrorism going on. And just, I've been warning firefighters before I walked off the job, and I walked off with only 2 years left because I was so done with the mentality of the fire service not allowing great people to do their job and be able to change the fire service. I was actually trying and building courses, training thousands of firefighters. I finally walked off the job with 2 years left before retirement. Thank heavens I've been an investor for the past 25 years, though, and made it to where I could do that. But that's how mind blown I was, shot. The fact of the matter is, I've been warning firefighters for the last 15 years that the FBI has been trailing. And there are ways of looking this up. I found information a long time ago, about 15 years ago, that the FBI was watching terrorists that would want to do harm in our country, and they were learning about fire behavior, and they were taking fire science classes. You could take these courses through the federal government for free online, and they were learning about topographic features, topography. They were learning about fuel types, the perfect wind conditions, and all of that kind of stuff. And what we have seen on X, because the media doesn't want to show you this, is people actually out starting fires, taking cans of gasoline on the side of the road, hucking them, getting ready to light fires. We've recently seen some people arrested. Do I know that multiple people started these fires? Yes, I have seen it with my own eyes through videos on X. Not only that, you have to understand the first fire is usually the one that's set accidentally. Electrical lines slapping together, somebody with a barbecue. I mean, you've seen videos on X or on YouTube of just stupid ways of starting fires, like a gender reveal party for a couple that is having a baby. Point being, there's absolute insanity in this world. Well, you've also got videos like this where it's showing LA City fire crews putting out fire with what appears to be a purse. Well, just it's not a purse, it's a equipment bag. City guys will use it for hauling small tools, throwing a bunch of tools in the engine really quick when you got a rescue and you've got to haul them up to a certain floor, pliers, wrenches, bolt cutters, chains, things like that. I throw them all in a bag, haul them up. Okay, that's what those are. They're not purses. Is that the best way to put out fire? Absolutely not. But you have to realize LA City is a bunch of city guys. They rarely put out veg fires. And you could see, they were hauling butt. They saw some fire break out behind a building, didn't even have his helmet on, didn't have all of his protective gear on. So he ran and he was doing everything he can. Do I fault him for that? No. Can you do it better? Sure. Have a 1-inch attack line, wove, in the back of your engine so you can just pull it off with 2 hooks. But LA City's not set up for that. They don't fight a ton of these fires. And there's so many new candidates coming on since a bunch of them lost their jobs for not getting jabbed. Yeah, it's a real deal. You've got guys that have never fought large fires like this. So they're just, they don't have the mental slides in the back of their mind. And I've trained a lot of people a lot of firefighters from large cities like this in Oakland, LA City guys, Oakland guys, Santa Barbara City, Ventura, Oxnard, all those cities. I trained in how to, put out wildland fires. Well, I got a text from a buddy of mine, and this is what he said. And this is very important because he texted me. He goes, "Hey, look, I've got friends that have lost houses. Here, and he just watched my video. He said, I lived in Brentwood for about 25 years. I know about 24 people who lost their homes. Your comment about hydrants losing pressure. One of my friends who left the Malibu fire after 2018, just, I was on that fire. So I already told the story of, was the girl from Three's Company with the Thigh Master? Our strike team protected her house. Whatever. Suzanne Summers, that's it. Says he lived on one side. I don't want to tell that part because it would tell who it is. He says the fire department, the Malibu fire department, told them they lost electricity back in the Malibu fire in 2018. Okay, this happens all the time in large cities. Because they lost water because of the electricity, which resulted in the losing electricity, which resulted in the water pumps. He said, of course, the residents of Malibu, their expectation was they would have backup generators. Well, good news. They actually do have backup generators. All of these city systems have redundant power systems in case of catastrophic failure. Here's what I told my friend, though. This is the problem. Fire runs through. And you don't even need fire to eat a power pole and have the power pole fall and then you lose electricity. If you have a thick enough concentration of smoke that runs through power wires, just so you know, smoke is unburned fuel. It's unburned products of combustion, okay? So it's little flakes, it's materials, and electricity. When the smoke gets to a thick enough concentration, electricity flows through it. All right? This is pretty exciting stuff. If I had time, I'd set up my lab coat and show you all this fire science stuff. But there's videos out there where smoke is going through power wires so thick that the electricity now leaves the power wires and connects to the ground. Okay? So there is a way to where you actually get yourself a nice little jolt in your power system and the electricity goes out, right? That's one way. There's multiple ways. The extreme wind, the slapping of it together, and then you lose power, right? Well, those hydrant systems that need that power, they now have generators. Boom, they kick off, right? Well, here's the problem. When that smoke now hits the generators, either the fire affects the generators, which is very unlikely because all generators that are on backup systems are surrounded by concrete and or gravel, something that will not burn with a certain amount of feet. So even long flame lengths, and we know how to measure flame lengths based off of fuel, when it's getting combusted, even at rapid rates of wind, right at hurricane gusts, we get it. We've already done the math. The direct flame won't hit that generator, but the smoke will choke out the generator and the generator will shut itself off. I have actually been on fires that are so intense where the winds are whipping between 60 and 80 miles an hour. I can barely stand up, let alone I can't even use a hose because right when I turn on full bore, it's just hitting me in the face. What happens is I have seen fire engines actually shut down. Why? Because all motors, these new motors are built in a way to protect themselves. When they're not getting enough air, they shut down. I have seen fire engines catch fire in the radiator or in the radiator area because what happens is it gets so clogged with debris getting into it, and then what happens is there's like leaves and all kinds of debris inside there, and it's a spark catches fire inside the engine. We've actually had engines catch fire because of this. Me as an engine head, module lead, captain, whatever you want to call it, whatever department you're from, one of my most serious concerns in those hurricane winds are eye injuries for all my firefighters, right? Everyone around me, got to make sure you're goggled up. I have a set of goggles from one fire that the whole rubber was eaten away because I was getting hit with, it was like a sandblast, just, getting peppered with small rocks and sand. We had full, coverage, everything, so that's the truth. The fact is there are people there are always copycats. I remember going on a fire where I was on just one chain strike. This was crazy. I'm on a fire on the Highway 101 in California, and we get called for multiple fires in the area. And I put out a little roadside star to go to put out another roadside star. It's one of those things where we got like 15 fire engines coming because there's like 7 columns all separated by, probably a mile, right? We're coming into the scene. I get on the air and go, hey, we have multiple columns. I need an additional 2 strike teams of engines. Give me type 3s, immediate response, which means don't wait to form up. Don't wait for your strike team leader. Get your butt there. The strike team leader will figure out, when we get on the fire, just start and literally get on scene. I go, okay, I've got confirmed 4 fires in my sight. I know there's like 6 or 7 in the area. I just can't see all the columns. I'm going to start on one fire. I don't even know how to name it. I just want every engine to show up. If you do not pass a fire without, if there's not a fire engine there. So you stop at that first fire. That's the kind of situation we had, right? And so got multiple fires in the area. I end up putting out the first fire, second fire. They're small, 10 by 20, 50 by 50s spots. And I go, hey, we're going to run up to the top of the hill. I need to get eyes on this. We drive the engine up to the top of the hill. And there's another fire up there we could put out. So while you guys are putting it out, I'll sit back with the radio and start. I've got a good eye now. And I see, I'm not joking, like 20 columns, about 5 going down the highway, 5. And I'm all, we've got a chain strike. Call CHP and let them know we've got somebody dragging a chain. That's what we've got. Or, I mean, it could be arson, but more than likely it's a chain strike. And so what was happening was somebody just had their chain going down the road, dragging on the ground during the summer on the perfect conditions. And you have to understand that's what's going on right now. You have the perfect conditions. Santa Ana winds are deadly, straight up, for firefighters, for people. And this should not be, this is not anything new in Southern California. However, is it new that this part of California burning is new? Yes, it is. However, all of that, between those homes, those mansions, they've got lots of dry grass, and all of those structures are dry. It blows me away when people are sitting there going, yeah, but you don't know, Ninja, all the trees are still there. You want to know why? Check this out. A tree is 100% moisture. I know it sounds crazy, but when trees burn, it's because they start to lose moisture and they die. When a leaf is green, I can take a tree leaf, green tree leaf, take a lighter, put it right underneath it, right? I can right next to it have somebody, the Ninja twin, have a brown leaf and the same lighter and light it and watch what happens. The green leaf doesn't burn. That is the truth. And so homes are all dead material. And so if you you leave your front door open, and I've been on fires where people want their homes to burn, and it's as simple as this. Fire inferno going on, and I've done this. I've actually filed reports, called safety officers, called law enforcement. I pulled up to a structure, and we're doing structure protection. Everything's crapping and getting right now. I'm keeping it clean. And I get on scene, and I go to a house that's got its front doors and all of its windows open. And I go, I know what's going on here. So I immediately run in real quick and grab a cell phone, videotape, because I ain't going to get, caught with, because there have been looting and all that kind of stuff happening, right? And I see the house is in disarray. Somebody went through and cleared all their stuff out, and they left the doors and windows open. This was not a nice house. They wanted the house to burn. They wanted access to where fire and flame can go into the house and rip the house open, right? So I called law enforcement, and I called my operations, and I called the safety officer to get down here right now and start filming this, because I said, hey, just so you know, it's their bad day. I just secured their house and it's going to be safe. But hopefully they got a talking to, because that was done on purpose. You don't accidentally leave all your windows open and your front door, all your back doors and everything as you're evacuating a home. However, on homes that are closed up, like what's going on right now, you're seeing all these homes burning. There's all these little vents inside. And I told the story once before about Spanish tile, and those California homes are famous for Spanish tile. Great little spot for embers to get up inside. And what are they going to find right inside there? Tar paper, and they're going to find dry plywood, right? From the 20s, 30s, maybe the 60s, 70s, whatever. It's dry and it's ready to burn. And what happens is now think about this. When we all make pizzas, you cook it in a pizza oven. Why does a pizza oven get so hot? It's because it's so insulated. And what do they use? Clay. What is Spanish tile? Clay. It's like this little ember finds its way into a tiny little oven. And then oxygen and wind is blowing up in there, and that ember, what happens when you blow on an ember? It glows, it gets hotter, right? And what it does is it finds something else to burn slowly, and then it just starts to cook and smolder and cook, and then boom, you got yourself a fire. And if there's no fire engines around, that roof's on fire. And the roof fires are the deadliest for a structure because they're allowed to run, because there's not a lot of firewalls inside of a roof. It's open truss, you just let it go, right? So my point being is that those things are normal, right? Losing power and all stuff. But here's what's not normal. I've been telling firefighters this, and I didn't have a national or worldwide voice until I have a YouTube channel, mostly talking about how to go crush it during an economic collapse and make money. But, they don't have reporters that that are intelligent. I'm seeing reporters that care more about their looks. They're putting clothespins on the back of their brush coat that they were handed to by the PAO, which Holy cow, most of those people are worthless. Information officers, right? PIO. And my point being is that they care more about the looks than being able to really report. They know nothing about fire science. I would love to go on Fox News. Hey, Fox, give me a call. I'll be in LA tomorrow, and I'll be reporting and giving real truth right out there. But here's the thing. There are people, there are always on large fires, people that want to burn down their own homes for insurance money. People should think about that because the insurance industry is absolutely, utterly collapsing. And secondly, there are people that want to do other people harm. All right. There are people right now down there that were doing that a couple days ago. And it is very important that people understand that. I do believe that the free courses online should be actually limited to only firefighters or people that are training as new firefighters, because that kind of information, it's very deadly. People that are trained, as a matter of fact, if there's any firefighters right now, type "I'm a firefighter" down below, and then back me up here. Firefighters know the perfect time and way to start a fire. I'm a professional arsonist. I've been a professional arsonist for 25 years, being that I'm a fire control expert. I've got all my licenses and certifications to start fires, backfires, all of that stuff. So I know the exact spot on a hill to start, depending on the topography, the weather, the fuel moisture, all of that stuff, if a fire is going to carry or not. That's why firefighters in wildland situations actually measure the level, the amount of water in fuel. They have these dry sticks, these dowels, and they allow the dowels to be outside. And depending on how much moisture the dowels absorb, just wooden dowels, they measure them every day. This is an older way of doing it. They have now RAWS systems and things like that, and that's all automatic. But the heavier the wood is, the more moisture has in it. By the end of the day, left out in the sun, you'll go measure that piece of wood. It's light again. It's lost weight. Wish we all could do that if we sat in the sun. There's a lot of us Californians that sit in the sun that don't lose weight. Weird. Anyway, sorry, I digress. My point being is that that's the fuel moisture. That's all this magical trees, that don't burn. And then people are like, oh, there's all this blue stuff, all these blue roofs that don't burn. Yeah, I get it. They're metal. You got to sort of figure that one out for yourself. Yeah. And then everyone's saying, hey, there's all these aluminum rims that are melted, but the car is still fine. Well, I really hate to tell you this. Aluminum's got a lower melting temp, and it's true. And it's crazy. Like I've been on so many fires, and I used to point it out after I was always on the internet, and I point out to the firefighters. I get on scene, I go, guys, it looks like government lasers burnt this car down. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Ninja? And I go, there's a puddle right there of molten aluminum that could have only been done by lasers. And they all laugh, and I go, all right, yeah, we know what you're doing. And it's just true. Engine blocks melt. There's watch certain engine blocks that are made of magnesium. Those explode when you put water on them. They actually but this is fire science, and reporters don't know that, and the public doesn't know that, and so everyone's attacking and all this stuff. Now you see things like the videos of these water basins that are dry. Do I understand that Californians, the politicians, Californians are awesome. The politicians are complete whack jobs that want to destroy the state on purpose. They could buy it all up. Type 1 if you agree with that. Like the water basins are dry. I mean, look at what LA had to do for one of their largest reservoirs. They filled the entire thing with black balls. I don't know why it had to be black, but hey, those black balls absorb heat. So they put them out there so that the water wouldn't evaporate as fast. Does it work? Yeah, it does. Are there a lot of basins that are empty because they don't have money for maintenance? They're leaking, those kind of things. It's just like you put water into your outdoor pond, it just leaks. You're all, this is crap. Yeah, there's a lot of those empty places. But hey, LA City, I've seen some pretty wacky things LA City's done fighting fire. And I'll give you an example right now. And this isn't bashing on them, because this is one of the coolest things I ever saw, but I'm like, yeah, you could have probably done this better. We're on a fire. Dude, okay, and there's fire coming down a canyon. And there's this beautiful bridge right there. And an LA City, I want to say it was an LA City strike team. It could have been another city. So actually, let's just say it was any city in California of Type 1s. Type 1s are the big pumper engines, right? That are in cities, right? Type 3s are the smaller brush rigs. They're still like beefy. And then you got Type 5s, Type 4s and 5s, which are like pickups. And then you got the command rig like I'm sitting in. This is where the chief sits in the air conditioning while everyone's out working, and they're sitting there. They're usually enjoying a croissant and a coffee, and they can't point because their window's closed because they got the AC going, but they're on the radio. And they're going, hey, can you go put the fire out over there now? And I'm like, yeah, chief, I see it. I know where the fire is. Okay, yeah, but then when you're done with that, can you put that fire out over there? I'm like, hey, chief, you are just keep eating. No, anyway, sorry, just I digress. All the firefighters right now are loving this. But LA's one of these city departments lined up their Type 1 engines on the bridge. It was actually pretty brilliant. It was a lot of use of water, but this fire's coming down and there's structures down there. And they're like, hey, stop that fire from getting to those structures. These guys are like city guys, like, we got this. And they line those pumpers up and they hook up to each other. And then they hook up to a hydrant on the other side of the bridge, right? So the hydrants flow into each one of these engines, and those dudes turn those deck guns on. A deck gun is that big a big nozzle on top. I'm trying to break this down simple. On top of these Type 1 engines, everyone's seen one. Type 2, if you've seen a deck gun or a monitor, a big nozzle on top of a fire engine. And what happens is the coolest job ever. I've gotten to use it a couple times on big structure fires. And you sit there and you're cranking the two wheels. The two wheels, move it, turn it sideways, and the other wheel turns it up and down. And it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. If you Google it, you can find it. It's this bridge with 5 engines, and they're just deck guns just flowing up the hill. And gosh darn, there's this wall of fire moving down the hill pretty nicely. And if it gets down into the drainage, it's going to kick up both sides. And those guys just like the biggest, most expensive rain birds you've ever seen, just soaked that hill. And as the fire came down, they could just hit that fire with the tips. Oh, it's a beautiful thing. It's not the best use of water, but my point being is city guys, they treat it different. There's like, Mongo, put fire out. And just don't trust me. I mean, I was a city guy too. So, I love it. But the point is that, and this is a great way to get rid of kooks off of the channel, because there are people that just want to blame the government for every single one of their problems. And really, the government's half of our problem. The other half is, do we want to stand up against them or do something about it? Guys, honestly, type 3 if you agree. We're getting overtaxed by the government. We're getting taxed to death. All of us, no matter if you live in a tax-free state, you're getting overtaxed by the federal government. If you live in a tax state, I'm sorry, I fled. I ran away. We're getting overtaxed. We're being overregulated. Big Daddy is got his eyes on our shoulder. I don't like that. We need to be decentralized. We need to be out of debt. Everything's collapsing this year, just so you know. I've probably got a lot of people on that have never been on this channel before. I've been warning people about an economic crisis that actually happens every 7 to 10 years in the form of a recession, and every 100 years in the form of a depression. Well, guess what? The depression has already started, and just so you know, the last one started from a flu in 1918. Let that one sink in for a second. We need less dependence on government. Not only that, the government itself is now the largest employer in the world. It is the largest employer. It is becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy, a machine that's just eating and destroying more and more. And we need it to stop. We need it done. So let's do 2 things. Can you do me a favor and share this if you agree? We need, the Ninja wants to be a part of Doge and help out with emergency spending, right? Because there's money that's needed in special places, and there's money that's being wasted, like on honestly, women that can't pull dudes out of the fire. I mean, I'm not even joking. And same thing with little dudes that can't pull big dudes out. Everyone should have a physical fitness test. They killed that about 10 years ago in my department. It pissed me off. So that needs to come back. We need to make firefighters strong again. Okay, end of story. The best person, I don't care what your sex is, and just one of the most badass firefighters I've ever fought fire with was down at the witch. Wait, no, it wasn't the witch fire. It was another big fire. Anyway, she worked at Salinas. She was ripped. She was kind. She was intelligent. Man, she could pull any of us out of a fire. And I'm not joking. I nearly saw her do it one day. She was awesome. So it doesn't matter what your sex is. It doesn't matter what your nationality is. What it matters is if you're really good at fighting fire. Okay. If you're not scared of going into tight places, if you're not afraid, if you're strong and you're strong-minded, you should get the job. So that's number 1. Number 2. What's number 2? I had a really good number 2. Gosh darn, it was awesome number 2. Oh yeah. The Ninja wants to be a reporter with the big news, but they're scared of what I'll say on live TV. But I guarantee you this, you got a big fire, Ninja will be able to explain exactly what's going on, what's coming next, and what people should do. So if anyone knows anybody on those big news broadcasts that actually want a good, intelligent person to actually talk to people, explain what's going on, let me know. All right, with that, and I'll even do it for free. That being said, everyone, thank you to everyone that's joined the newsletter because YouTube started messing with me again. And thank you to everybody that's been just sharing out the videos. Love you guys. The Economic Ninja is out.